Again, my name is Ford Graham. I'm president of the Council of American States of Europe. There are actually 16 states that have a presence, a fiscal presence here in Europe. But today I'm representing all those states who are here to give you a little overview of the types of services they can provide for a new company who's interested in doing a new venture somewhere in the U.S. So without further ado, I'll start. By the way, I'm a very mellow person. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask. If you get really bored, you can raise your hand and wave it like this, and I'll know you're getting bored. I did ask Carl to let me know when I'm 2 minutes up, so he's not saying that he's bored. He's just letting me know when I only have 2 minutes left. So, and by the way, I am from the South. However, I speak very quickly. So if you don't understand me, please feel free to ask me to slow down. So I love maps and I love graphics. So one of the things I want to start with is, this is the European map. So this is what you all might see in a book here or in a school. And notice that Europe is in the center. This is the US version. This is what you see in any school in the United States. We're at the center. We think we know everything. This one's absolutely wrong. It's the Australian view. Just wanted to tell you why I'm upside down. But one of the things I know you all know the United States, and I used to get in the media, and I know you've probably visited, but it's a huge market. There are 300 million people there. It spans 6 different time zones. There are 140 million wage earners, and almost 5.5 million people are employed by foreign firms. And it's interesting, I want to show you the lights, and it sort of shows the United States at night. And there are pockets where there is not a huge population, but maybe that's the best place for you to be. You've got to know exactly where your markets are and who you're trying to sell to, and we'll get to that in just a second. I also want to show you this interesting slide. It's not as pretty, but it shows you the size of the United States versus the size of Europe. There's this great story of my boss, who's a former BMW executive, and he had a friend who was coming in for a few days, and that friend was going to rent a car, and over the weekend he was going to hit New Orleans, Orlando, New York, and Chicago. That's what he said. So obviously he had not had a chance to look at the map. It's a very big country. It's a very big landmass. And again, it's something that people that aren't familiar with the U.S. don't necessarily know. I mentioned the 6 time zones. Obviously, in the continental United States, there are 4. Don't forget about Alaska and Hawaii. This can be complicated, especially if you're doing business in Europe and on the West Coast. And we're talking about, let's see, that's a 9-hour difference. Something to think about when you're planning. There are also, I mentioned 300 million people. Every market is not the same. What sells well in the Southeast may not necessarily sell well in Seattle. What sells well in Texas may not be the same as in the Northeast. So really, when you start in the U.S., you've got to understand exactly what you're trying to go after, and exactly what part of the United States is the right part for you to start your business or to expand in. I love this slide. So each state has its own Department of Economic Development. They have different names and different locations. And each community typically has, or each county, or each parish, or each location, region also has an Office of Economic Development. And so the rules on the federal level are basically the same. And then on the state level, it could be the same as well. But there are also rules on in terms of taxes, in terms of different regulations on the local level. So there are over 3,000 different counties in the United States. Now I want to show you this because it looks expansive and it looks difficult, but that's why we're here. We're here to help. Well, as you can see, we have lots of different representatives from lots of states, regions, and communities. And one thing I want to say that connects us all is that we all have an interest in attracting your investment to our states and our localities. So we all invested the time and the money to be here today, to be with you in person, to tell our story. So, like I said before, if you get an opportunity to take it, to get to know some of the states that are in local localities that are here. So, how much time do I have? I'm still doing good? Yes. So, some of the things you want to think about when you're looking at establishing a business or putting a facility in the United States. I'm not going to go through them all, but proximity to existing markets. Maybe it's important to be next to other companies from your same country. Maybe there are certain tax issues or certain tax environment that would be beneficial to you. So this is just a list of some of the things you need to think about when you're trying to make that decision about what's the best place in the United States for you to be. There are different ways, obviously, to get into the United States or other markets. You can do it through a joint venture. You can do it through a distributor. Or you can set up your own facility. And for us, this is sort of the trajectory that we typically see, especially with small European companies. They start with a small sales office or a representative in the U.S. And then they move up to doing maybe warehousing. Again, this is more for the manufacturing, which you're selling a good. Warehousing, and then eventually they decide that it's a great place to do business, a great place to do manufacturing, and they actually establish a facility there. What is it that states can do, communities can do, municipalities can do? Well, one of the things that we help you with is finding the right location for you. But basically, you're assigned a person from the state or from the local government to help you, walk you through the steps of establishing a business in the United States. So maybe you say, well, you know what, I'm really interested in these 3 states, in this region, but I don't even know how to start. So the best place to start is to contact one of those local people and explain to them a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish. Give them as much information as you can. Most groups are willing to sign non-disclosure agreements. But you can also be confidential, and you can share a little bit of information. And then as you get to know them better and you build up a relationship, you can share more with them. But the more information that you can provide, the better they're able to serve you and help you. Again, this is sort of the process for getting in touch with someone, a state representative or a local representative. But basically, you have that initial telephone call, you explain to them what it is that you need, whether it's a new facility, whether it's a greenfield space, whether you're trying to do some sort of joint venture. And then they'll come back to you typically within a few weeks with an information package, trying to match up your needs with what they may have available. After that, you might narrow it down to a short list of 2 communities or 3 communities. Then you basically make a trip to the U.S. and you say, you know what, I really like these different facilities. Let's say you're going into an existing building. I really like these 2 facilities, and I really want to sit down with the people there on the ground and get to know them, get to know whether these facilities could actually work. At that point, you'll also have contact with local government officials. You'll have contact with service providers. And again, at the very end, you'll also typically have an incentive program. One of the great things about the United States is that not only do we have very favorable tax laws, but the states are vying for your business. The regions are vying for your business. They want you to create jobs in their community. They want you to create investment in their community. And so they're going to provide as much as they can in terms of services, in terms of connecting you with the right people. But in some cases, they'll also have incentives based on the number of jobs you're going to create, based on the wages those jobs are going to pay, and based in part also on the location. This is what all states will want to know. So I'm going to actually go through each and every one of these topics here. They want to know, first and foremost, how many jobs are you going to create? How many jobs? This is the key. This is the key for SelectUSA. This is the key for us. We're in the United States right now. We are trying to create as many jobs as we can. And so they want to know, A, what the job creation is going to be, and what I can know what those wages are going to be as well. What's the potential investment? How much are you going to be investing? Are you going to be constructing a new facility? Are you going to be investing in equipment? This is also key to communities in the United States. Obviously, some simple things. How big is the facility you need? Are you looking for a small office of 2,000 square meters? Or are you looking for 2,000 square meters? Obviously, do you want a greenfield or do you want an existing space? Other factors are important. They're going to want to know what's driving your decision. Why did you call state X? Why did you call community Y? What's it about that location that's of interest to you? Is it near a university with whom you want to work? Is it near a great port? Is it near an airport? What's driving your decision-making process? Again, the more information you can provide to them, the better they can respond to your inquiries. What types of employees are you looking for? And then finally, will there be lots of European staff that's relocating? What kind of things are they interested in a location? So here are some of the benefits of working with an economic development office. Obviously, I mentioned before, it's confidential, either business confidential or we're willing to sign NDAs, but you get an individually tailored information package. Again, they take the information that you've given them and they come back and say, well, here's what we have based on what we know about you. All services are free. We don't charge a fee. Local governments and state governments don't charge a fee to help you find the location. That's what we do. It's our job. It's good to have somebody on your side. I know lots of companies want to do this on their own, but it's helpful to have somebody who knows how to work with companies in the U.S., who knows what the challenges can be, but also someone that has experience working with international companies. It just provides a soft landing, and it makes your entry into the United States that much easier. Again, free of charge, confidential, professional. Typically, in the case of the case, we have representatives, like I mentioned, in Europe, and so they're actually in your time zone. Other states do that as well. They have representatives that they work with in the local areas. We've met some today, or heard from some today that are physically located here in Brussels. So again, they're willing to help you, and they understand the U.S. markets, and obviously they understand what it's like for Europeans to do business in the U.S. Again, I mentioned that the different offices that are across Europe. I can provide these slides later, by the way. No need to take photos, but these are some of the representatives, some of the states that have physical locations here in Europe, again, to provide assistance. I'll leave you with these interesting slides, and then I will open the floor for questions. But this is from the Chevrolet homepage in the United States. Lots of big trucks. This is what you pull up when you pull up an American slide. This is the Chevy homepage in the UK. You can see it's a different market, it's a different way of selling, it's a different type of vehicle that's selling well. I never see pickup trucks in Germany at all. I see them every day in the US. So just things to think about when you're investing there and when you're trying to open up a new market. It's good to have local help, it's good to have people that understand how to sell your product in the US and what challenges you're going to face. And that's it for me. Are there any questions?